My name is Lana Rivera, and I'm an intern from Yale University working with Sawari Media on her reader submission archive development. I'm going to be interviewing Mrs. Omani Sawari on her archive today. Let's get started with the questions. Can you please introduce yourself, what you do, and what you created?
Of course, and thank you so much, Alana, for your contribution to this project and all of the incredible work that you've done to put this archive together. I'm really excited to talk about it. So I have been working with Sawari Media for the past 5 years and have edited newsletters, including the current Right to Vote report, as well as No Shackles, Black Solid Fist, and Motivate Michigan over that time. And throughout that time, I've received hundreds, maybe even thousands of letters from incarcerated citizens all over the country. And this project, which is a reader submissions archive, is an attempt to make the experiences of our readers available to the masses, to anyone who's interested in learning more about the oppressive nature of prisons, as well as the different reforms, solutions, even poetry, articles, and artwork that our readers have contributed to the public sphere.
Thank you. Tell us about this archive that you created.
So over the past 2-3 months, over this past summer, I got the opportunity to work with a group of wonderful students from Yale University, including yourself, as well as Nora and Madison. And that gave me the opportunity to take this idea of how can I get my readers' work in front of more eyes, and actually put it into practice, actually make it into a product. And so the archive is a collection of digitized submissions, which range from letters about participation in different demonstrations to full-on proposals for pieces of legislation in state congresses, as well as artwork, drawings, poems, all the sorts on all ends of the spectrum, categorized and organized into different subjected folders and put into an archive for public consumption. And so we're having a showcase event. And that showcase is going to highlight some specific selections from the archive. And I really invite everyone to participate. But the archive itself is more than just what's highlighted in the showcase. It includes hundreds of submissions from readers across the country, including Michigan, where I'm based, New York, California, Texas. The Right to Vote report is in 33 states. And so we've tried our best to highlight submissions from each of those states.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why the archive was established? And another question could be, what is the purpose behind what you do?
So the archive was established in service of our incarcerated readers. Because Sawari Media has mailed thousands of newsletters over the past 5 years, we've received dozens, hundreds, thousands of responses from readers and prospective readers, from folks who saw the newsletter in the day room, who were sent it by a member of their Black Prisoners Caucus, or who picked it up from a friend or someone, their bunkie. People have been sharing it with one another and corresponding with us as a result. And the passion of the organization far outweighs our capacity as an organization. And there are so many ideas that come in from readers that are valuable, that are worth taking on. Folks that have book proposals, that want to write poetry books or children's books, folks that have written up entire curriculums for youth trying to find alternatives to violence, folks who have written pieces of legislation that should be incorporated in our Congress to end life without parole, to end the death penalty, to do resentencing, to create new laws that would end overcrowding in our prisons. And so all of these different ideas are valuable, they're worthwhile. However, Sawari Media as a small organization can't take those on. We want to educate the masses. We want to put legislation in front of the masses and also create pathways for being civically engaged for incarcerated readers. And we also include resources for incarcerated readers to take on different efforts themselves or advocate on their own or reach out to their legislators directly. However, when it comes to other types of projects that aren't in our focus, I want folks who are interested, whether it's student groups, journalists, or even legislators themselves, representatives in state or federal Congresses, to have access to seeing this information and taking it on. There might be someone who wants to simply publish an op-ed on their blog or read from a prisoner's speech at an event, and they can simply just become a member of Sawari Media and have access to these so that they can take that type of action. Those are just some of the purposes that I had close to my heart when the archive was being developed. And I'm sure that folks who are consuming it will think of even more ideas as it goes on.
What role do you see this online space serving in the movement?
So there are a lot of parallel prison movements going on. There's the larger human rights movement, which for me includes incarcerated people, but they're often left underserved in that movement. And then there are more narrow movements like prison reform movements, but I also think that falls short of what actual changes need to be made in the prison industrial slave complex. And so the movement that I hold closely and that I am a vocal participant in is the prison abolition movement. Now, I am open to the work that's included in the archive being used in all of those movements, whether it's the human rights movement, the reform movement, but I believe that each of those movements are a part of the spectrum towards the prison abolition movement. We as a society do believe that slavery is unjust, it's cruel, it's unusual, there's no place for it except in our prisons. And so when we highlight and shine a light on the opaque situations that are happening, which is why I included the word opaque in the title, Opaque Realities Behind the Wall, because when we shine a light on that, then it becomes obvious that prisons can't really be reformed into a rehabilitative or corrective space as they are so titled. But really, we need to completely abolish, deconstruct, and reconstruct a institution that is actually corrective and rehabilitative, that centers human experience and trauma and healing as a part of corrections and rehabilitation, rather than further traumatizing already traumatized and often impoverished individuals, which is what our current system is based on and profits off of. And so the archive is an attempt to be a tool for the abolitionist movement, with the hopes of allowing incarcerated narratives, their voices, their experiences, their ideas, their solutions to be a central part of developing that movement.
That was a great answer. Given that the archive is for public consumption, is there any specific message or messages that you would like the public to receive?
Yes, I know that when it comes to presenting something so sensitive and often controversial to the masses. There are people on all ends of the spectrum. There are people who agree that prison abolition is a valuable aspect of what can truly allow our country to be the land of the free. And then there are people who believe that prisons and jails are a necessary evil to keeping us safe. However, I know that this society is not safe so long as there are dangerous and detrimental conditions for 2 million plus people behind bars. We're really just hiding the unsafe. We're hiding the traumatized, and we're not really hiding them. We're just allowing them to be further traumatized until 95 or more percent come back into our society, and the cycle goes on. So for me, I want people to understand that people in prison I want people to understand that incarcerated people have the experience, the knowledge, and the passion to lead and to be leaders in movements and to contribute valuable information to the public sphere. Now, we look towards lawyers and doctors and, for some reason, police officers to be our leaders in the public sphere. But I really do think and can prove through the inclusions in this archive that there are a lot of incarcerated people who can lead, who have wisdom, who have decades of experience in the legal procedure, in state institutions, in advocacy, and are legally trained, who have taken paralegal courses, who have critical thinking skills, who are artists, who can contribute vastly to the public sphere, and whose contributions should be valued and sought after. And so for folks who do take on that message, I think that they will very much enjoy participating in being a part of consuming the inclusions in the archive, because there's a lot to get out of it. And what I also want folks to understand is, as they're looking through the archive, that the folders and the inclusions that you see when this launches are not, that's not it. There's more that's being added. There's more that's been developed and prepared, and it will continue to grow throughout this year. And as we see participation continue to grow, ongoing, because the Right to Vote report continues to publish issues, and as a result, we continue to receive submissions. So I really hope that folks do value the inclusions that we have and look forward to seeing more being added.
As someone who has collaborated with Mrs. Amani and the other interns on this archive, I can definitely say that it is very enlightening and rewarding to go through and read, because you get to hear about all the different hardships that incarcerated people go through, as well as their knowledge, their ideas, their creativity. And I think it's something that everyone really needs to be exposed to and hear about. With that being said, is there anything else you would like to add or say to conclude this interview?
I just want to thank you, Alana, as well as Madison and Noor, for putting so many hours and weeks and months into helping with developing this archive. There's no way I would have been able to read through all of the hundreds of letters that have been sent since, I think some of the earliest are from 2017, as well as digitize them, categorize them, title them, tag them, comment, create summaries on them, and have them prepared in time for Black August. So I want to thank you all primarily. And I'll just also just want to let people know, regardless of if you consider yourself an abolitionist, a reformist, or a prison supporter, whatever you are, wherever you are on the spectrum, I invite you personally to view the archive. Just check it out. No matter what state you're in, even if you're not in one of the 33 states where the Right to Vote is circulated, just please give the link a click. Give the link a click and check out sawarimedia.press And also check out the Right to Vote report. And if you know an incarcerated person who you think would be interested in receiving it, there's no cost for incarcerated readers. So definitely make sure to sign them up for the newsletter and we will get them a copy, especially during this beautiful Black August season. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Alana, for this interview.